Good afternoon. I'm Janak VC. I'm doing MAd STEM Education 1 year from Department of STEM Education, Kathmandu School of Education. The journal article that I am presenting is a narrative inquiry of practices and perception of school homework in children's educational development. This is the title of my paper. Um, Let me just go. This is just the master narratives that I'm presenting here. Uh, my personal narratives of research, and then background of the study and significance of the study, and policies, national and international policies. And you have research questions and research purpose. And I have what are the theoretical and conceptual framework that I have adopted. And so the research methodologies and discussion and data analysis and conclusion. Let me start with this personal narrative of research. I have been observing my children's schoolwork, and I frequently hear parents complain about how much homework their children have. So I also have heard like parents they talk about like their children are being punished just because kids are not able to do homework. So as a result, the issue that I am exploring is pretty relevant to my situation. This is where I live, and the schools where I have seen where my kids go and where I have been. So there's a tension between parents and teacher and kids with the issue of homework. So this appears as a daunting to both the teachers and parents. It's not just the students only. So there are triangular shape here. Um, During the research process, my participants, which were students anyway, part of the participants, so they came up with these two images. One of them is like the guy who could make drawn by himself. Nobody taught him, not even in school. There was no class as such for makerspace. But this guy, this is can make this makerspace at home, and that did not include in school subject. That was not appreciated by even teachers, and teachers had no idea by the way. And there is another the participants while I'm talking about the homework, she came up with this image. Uh, she thinks that she is holding homework uh, with this shield, and the homework is as an arrow, and then she's protecting herself from the homework. So that was the image she could draw. I think this is somehow familiar with our context. Um, so background of the study in school, the homework is commonly thought to improve students' learning abilities. And in contrast, teachers have been writing about the excessive homework is likely to stifle children's educational development. That's what Bomarito says. According to Nepali school tradition, homework is often considered as a sign to improve children academics. And as we prepare to incorporate 21st century learning, the research challenges conventional mode of providing homework by claiming that children's development is also depends on how one approaches and articulates about it. So the word academic word like better is frequently limited, undermining children's holistic development. So how come that better happens in the research? On the educator's other hand, they investigate how a child enjoys homework as they continue to do homework as a part of enjoyment. So this is the present day context. We're talking about homework, how homework can be more participatory, more project-based. This is going on at the moment. Significance of the study, the government of Nepal has already implemented integrated curriculum from 1 to 3, and the government has made substantial investment in shaping the educational landscape of the country. So particularly in developing appropriate content for children. They've been trying their best. However, the pedagogical pattern appears to be the same in the like in the past. As oral education talks about, there's not much change uh, because limited language part that we have here. The research attempts to assist teachers, parents, and schools in determining whether the current homework pattern is truly beneficial or is there something changes required. We'll work it out here. Nepalese government, I mean, policy level, we see the school sector plan says that children should be prepared to focus child-friendly, interactive, child-centered education. That's what it talks. A question comes here: how come how the homework can be child friendly, can be interactive, can be child centered. So there is a policy level wise. Are we really tight with the policy level with the homework? But the question is debatable. Homework pattern relies really makes learning as child friendly. This is always a question. So if you look at the national research, we have seen a couple of research. I want to highlight one. Does homework really help scholars get good grades? The Himalayan Times write in the year 2020 anyway. And Rana says this one. He is questioning the pattern of the homework at the school. And the amazing video by Ratan Depota, he presents this video. How much am I burdened by the homework? So if you go through this video, there's a lot of metaphor that we can really extract from the video. Even the National Education Policy 2076, they talk about more inclusive kind of studies, more STEM-based studies. So the question appears here whether homework is aligning with the policies. Look at the international sectors. Let's go to South India here. India has adopted the new education policy in 2020, scrapping all the homework for elementary to grade 2. There is no homework as such from up to class 2. We didn't provide any homework. Class 2 to class 3 to class 5, there is homework 2 hours per week. That means if you can divide 2 hours in a week, how much it comes. Class 6 to class 8, 1 hour per day, and class 9 to 10, they can get 2 hours homework per day. So that's what the pattern they have come up with in India. If you look at this, the American writers, Detroit and Coney, they talk about rethinking the homework. What is the best practices to help the kids? Is the homework just a myth? So why our kids get too much of bad things? The kind of idea that we can extract is really bad. So this is what the international writers they keep talking about. My research purpose is to explore how homework can be made more effective so that learning can become more dynamic, as well as to scrape the nature of homework, to scrape the nature of homework that can make a difference in the children's learning skill. The research question that I have, there are two main questions. How does the nature of homework play a constructive role in enhancing children's educational development? And second one, what consequence does ineffective homework have on children's overall development? So these are the two questions that we will deal throughout this research purpose. The conceptual framework that I have based my whole research is an interpretative paradigm in which the researcher interacts with the participants continuously over a long period of time. It's a 2.5 months of time we were interacting with them, and it examines the hermeneutic approach of learning. So we try to find the meaning of the story, trying to get the meaning, try to get the meta stories out of the stories, in which these meta narratives are constructed through the stories from the participants. Along with this research process, will incorporate Vygotski's theory of social constructism, as students' learning does not limit themselves, but rather it multiplies when they interact with others. It multiplies when they come up from their zone to others. So it also a synthesis of both ontological epistemological viewpoints that shares a common ground, as Overton talks about. The research paradigm that I talked, it's more on this interpretive paradigm that I have used. Taylor and Medina talks about the interpretive paradigm. It examines the hermeneutic approach, as I have already said. Research design that I have based here is qualitative research. That means it's an approach to explore and understand the meaning of individuals and group ascribes to social and human problems. This also used to broad explanation of behavior and attitudes, where multiple layers of social control, languages, and culture are integrated. So this is what we use Zoom for interaction, and both during the online, and then we had also face-to-face interview. 4 participants were selected after this one, 2 our parents, 2 their wards. Research methods, the primary goal was to conduct a brief narrative inquiry in which I collected narrative data from 2 parents and their children, as well as their experiences with the homework. A synonym term of the narrative is story or history. The claim talks about like narrative as a vital human activity that structures human experience and gives meaning out of it. So narrative inquiry approach appeared to be the best tool here in this study, following the proposal, because it also examines the human experience and their stories. And it is about the feeling, experience, and history, and their memories, as Ford says in 2020. Data collection that I employed interview through the blend mode, as I've already said. Interview questions were more constructive and the instructor style, so most open-ended questions. Yeah, and then research used a narrative inquiry approach in a systematic way. As I started earlier, this includes relying in the participants' stories, observation, interviews, and audio-visual research. We used this one. We had this video that I asked them to watch this one, and we discussed this video. Participants' poetry and drawings were also collected and observed during the research process. The transcribing and then also recording and creating after mentioned theme from these participants were all parts of the analysis process. A meta story was developed and each theme extracted from the participants. Our participants were their two parents and two students, Nirmala and Vivek. These are the pseudonym that I've used, and Neeraj and Prerna are the students from the Morning Star School, Silket. And we used the experience of the data type, observation, feelings, poems, and images and metaphor were collected out of these interviews. And all data were kept confidential, and participants' pseudonyms were considered also. Finding the homework should be a place to explore and construct or create a design that inculcate the learning than just mugging up the text from the book. The focus is on the learning rather than the fulfilling duties from the school. So this is what it is very important. Another side of the discussion from the both students' perspective, they love creating and consuming in the learning process. The tussle between the consumption, the information, and creating the information is observed here. Neeraj's creativity never appeared in the home, where he used all the teaching components to create the product as drawn. The content did not see it as learning. So with the Prerna, who loves literature, wants to enjoy in the stories, but content was blocked, has blocked her to explore more. Therefore, the home should boast the learning that they prefer than what the school prefers. So does the homework have to be in line with the student's interest, or is it in what school or teacher want? So the question needs to be explored further from here anyway. So this is what we talk about: consuming the information or creating the information. What is the intention of the homework? That is very important to find out here. The theme that I have, the first one is the creative versus memorization. This is the story, this is the poem from the first participants. I drove her to school. You were just 13 years old, a tiny bird. When it comes to the homework, I completely understand. You frequently advised me to turn my house into school, but I kept sending you to school. Yes, I frequently asked to ask you, you frequently asked me to be your teacher, but I continue to ignore your cries. Yes, I have no right to take your childhood, but I kept sending you to school. I did not realize that you were needed a permission for the restroom, but I kept sending you to school. I did not realize that you needed a permission for drinking water, but I kept sending you to school. I remember the day you did not do your homework. I remember the evening when you cried in my arms, and I cried with you, but I kept sending you to school. My son, I wanted to educate you. I wanted to educate you. Sometimes it is just for a piece of paper. I dismiss all of your plans to replace the school. I dropped you off the school, but again today. I discussed this one. Second theme is learning at stake. It's a rigid. Neeraj's learning pattern doesn't match with the school's teaching pattern here. And then this is something, the homework really bringing Neeraj's interest. And interest was not out of the learning, it was in the learning, but that was never come up in the homework pattern. So learning as a stick. Third one is a relationship. It is homework is not bad, but how the homework is constructed needs to be resolved by the dialogue between the parents and teacher. So teachers also needs help from parents. There is a bond between teacher and students, teacher and parents. The homework pattern can be changed more to the student friendly. The fourth theme, like intellectual talks or social skills. Prerna's reflection is different. She often wonders why social learning never becomes a part of homework. Why only writing and reading? Why not dancing? Why not singing? Why not writing a story? The conclusion of this whole research: homework has never been a pain. If at all the school can consider the learning can shift beyond the textbook. All those themes provide the framework for the homework intention: creative versus memorization, learning at stake, relationship, intellectual versus social learning. And this is the reference that I have used. And this is some of this annexes, transcription of this Homak music video by Ravinder Kotak. And that's all from my side. And thank you.